As we come to the close of this Lenten season, and I have been asked to share tonight, I am looking forward to the celebration of Holy Week. And Holy Week to me is always very significant because it allows us as Christians to focus on something that we like to deny in life, and that is death itself. But we celebrate the death of Jesus, which allows us to prepare ourselves for our own death, but it doesn't end in death, it ends in resurrection. So I would like to share two things with you tonight. First of all, a statement, and then secondly, an illustration. Here is the statement. Death is inevitable. None of us is going to get out of this life without dying. Following Jesus empowers us to face this harsh reality with a sense of hope. I am embarrassed and ashamed to admit it, but it is the truth. I cannot hide it or run away from it. All I can do now is recognize that I see it differently now than I did as a child. I then viewed it as a means to economic thriving and prosperity. Now I view it as robbing God's majestic earth of a precious fossil resource. I grew up in the anthracite coal region of central northeastern Pennsylvania. This area has the richest anthracite deposits, coal deposits in the world, and the coal there is referred to as black diamond. This particular coal ignites slowly and efficiently, emanates a vast amount of heat, and burns rather cleanly. Because of all its positive attributes, this coal was highly desired by others. It was the source of economic prosperity and wealth in our community, providing high-paying jobs for unskilled laborers. However, those financial gains came with huge physical risks. There was always the possibility of losing life or limb in order to mine this precious fuel. Working in caves and mines and tunnels underneath hundreds of feet of the Earth's surface meant that death was always a real possibility. My father often spoke of leaving the daylight behind as he went down into the mine, each day wondering, will I come up out of the mine to see daylight once again? Poor ventilation, lack of oxygen, collapse of the structural support system, the breakthrough of penned-up mine water, or a spark triggering a gas explosion could easily and quickly result in immediate death. Death was an everyday and every moment possibility. Fortunately, my father had a kind, caring, compassionate boss who had great financial security because he owned the mine. But he was also a devout Christian. And he lived out his faith in this way. He was down in the mine with the miners, as opposed to sitting in an office above the mine. He knew the threat those miners were facing. And whenever there was the threat of any danger lurking, he would always say to his miners, "You stay here. I'm going in first. If anyone gets hurt, it's going to be me." You and I are miners in the mine of life. In spite of how we like to deny and avoid death, death will one day claim each and every one of us. None of us is going to get out of this world alive. Death is inevitable. But we too have this boss named Jesus, who got into the mine of life with us when he was born and lived among us. And in the course of his life, he humbled himself and went to death on a cross. Therefore, we are spared from death. Instead, we can look to Jesus as the one who, through our baptism into his death and resurrection, has bought and claimed us. Jesus has gone ahead of us through the mine, the valley, the shadow of death, and he came out resurrected and victorious. And so shall we. In our following Jesus, we face the greatest threat of life, that of death itself. But we do so with the hope that for us we will move from the mine of life into life everlasting.